Arsenal are 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League, and tonight they travel to the south coast to face a Brighton side that has found its feet again. And this match could define the trajectory of our entire title charge. Welcome to Isaac Arsenal Update. I am Isaac. If you are new here, subscribe right now, hit the like button, turn on notifications, and stay until the very end because we are going deep on everything tonight. The team news, the tactical picture, the injury concerns, the title race implications, and my full prediction. Do not move. Let us start with what is at stake here, because the context of this match is enormous. Arsenal go into tonight's game sitting first in the Premier League, 5 points clear of Manchester City, 9 games unbeaten. Back-to-back London derbies dispatched with clinical, authoritative football, Tottenham taken apart 4-1 at their own ground, then Chelsea beaten 2-1 at the Emirates just 3 days ago. This team is playing with an intensity, a belief, and a collective clarity that genuinely excites me as an Arsenal supporter. And I have been watching this club for a long time. I have lived through the years when we were fighting just to qualify for the Champions League. What Mikel Arteta has built here is something that deserves to be celebrated, but only if we see it through to the end. Tonight is another step. Tonight is not optional. Manchester City kick off at exactly the same time tonight, exactly 7:30 p.m. Erling Haaland's side will be looking to close the gap, and if Arsenal slip up and City win, we are suddenly looking at a 2-point lead with the season entering its decisive phase. That is the reality. That is why every single match between now and the end of May carries the weight of something greater than 3 points. It carries the weight of history. And look, I am not here to catastrophize. Arsenal are in a brilliant position, but I have watched this club come close before. I have felt what it is like when the pressure mounts and the legs feel heavy and the banana skins start appearing. Brighton tonight has banana skin written all over it if we are not sharp. So let us talk about the team news, because this is where the real story is tonight. Mikel Arteta is managing a squad under genuine physical strain heading into this fixture. 3 days after the Chelsea match, he has a selection puzzle that requires every ounce of his management ability, starting with the biggest concern, Declan Rice. Declan came off midway through the second half against Chelsea. He was clearly uncomfortable. He hobbled, he signalled to the bench, and he was replaced. At full time, Arteta was measured, cautious, choosing his words carefully when asked whether Rice would be available tonight. He said Rice would need to be checked, that the midfielder was better on the day after the game, and that he hoped he would be available. That is not a guarantee. That is a manager managing information publicly while privately hoping for the best. Here is why this matters so much. Declan Rice is not just a player for Arsenal right now. He is the engine of this team. He covers the ground that makes our system breathe. He protects the back four. He progresses the ball. He sets the tempo. When Rice is on the pitch at full capacity, Arsenal have a foundation that is almost impossible to disrupt. When he is absent or operating at 80%, there is a structural vulnerability that a technically smart side like Brighton, and Fabian Hürzeler's teams are always technically smart, can absolutely look to exploit. Martin Zubimendi is in the squad and has shown this season that he can carry significant midfield responsibility. If Rice is ruled out, or if Arteta decides not to risk him from the start, expect Zubimendi to step into that deeper position. He is composed, technically superb, and has adapted to the Premier League faster than perhaps even the most optimistic Arsenal supporters expected when we signed him from Real Sociedad last summer. The question is whether he can replicate Rice's physical intensity in a tough away match with little preparation time. Now, the second major concern, Martin Odegaard. Our captain was not even in the squad against Chelsea. A knee injury kept him out entirely. Arteta confirmed he will face a late fitness test ahead of tonight. And this, to me, is the concern that sits slightly deeper than the Rice situation, because Odegaard is the brain. He is the one who makes the complex look simple, who finds the pocket of space between the lines, who plays the half-turn pass that puts Victor Gyokeres in behind, who organises the press from the front and signals when to release and when to hold. Without Odegaard, Arsenal's attacking structure changes fundamentally. If both Rice and Odegaard miss out tonight, Arteta will almost certainly deploy a midfield of Zubimendi, Kai Havertz, and Christian Norgard, with Eberechi Eze pushing high on one side. That is still a quality midfield by any Premier League standard. But it is not the same. The cohesion, the reading of each other's movement, the instinctive understanding that Rice and Odegaard have built over 2 seasons together, that cannot simply be replicated in 72 hours. Arteta, to his enormous credit, has built a squad that can absorb these losses. The depth this club now possesses, compared to even 2 or 3 years ago, is genuinely impressive. But managing that depth under pressure over back-to-back matches requires trust and requires the players who step in to be fully prepared mentally as well as physically. Ben White missed the Chelsea match with a knock. There is now cautious optimism that he could return tonight, which would be a significant boost to the right side of our defence. White has been one of the most consistently underrated defenders in European football over the last 3 years. His ability to push forward, to support Saka's runs, to act as almost an auxiliary midfielder when Arsenal have the ball, it adds a dimension to our attacking play that is not replaceable on a like-for-like basis. If he is available and fit, Arteta will want him in that XC. Mikel Merino remains out following foot surgery. His recovery has been steady, but he will not feature tonight. And with the schedule Arsenal face between now and the end of the season, managing his return carefully is essential. Merino's profile, physically dominant, positionally intelligent, technically comfortable, makes him an ideal option in the months ahead. But for tonight, he is unavailable. Max Dowman continues his recovery from an ankle injury and is not in contention. David Raya, who was dealing with some physical niggles in the days building up to the Chelsea match, came through the full 90 minutes on Sunday and is confirmed fit. Our number one starts in goal. That is an absolute non-negotiable for Arteta, and rightly so. Victor Gyokeres, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, and the rest of the attacking options are all fit and available, which is the kind of depth that makes Arsenal dangerous, even when their creative midfield axis is disrupted. Gyokeres in particular has been a revelation since arriving from Sporting Lisbon last summer. He is a complete centre-forward, relentless in his pressing, clinical when chances arrive, physically dominant in duels, and capable of the individual moments of genius that swing tight matches. His impact on this Arsenal side has been transformative, and tonight against Brighton's high defensive line, his intelligent movement in behind will be a constant threat. Now let us look at the opposition, because Brighton deserve genuine respect tonight, and Arteta will certainly be giving them every ounce of it. Fabian Hürzeler is one of the most interesting young managers in European football. He arrived at Brighton last season as a relative unknown and immediately showed a tactical intelligence and a capacity for pragmatic adaptation that caught the league by surprise. In his second season now, he is building something more considered, more layered. Brighton went through a very difficult period between January and February. 6 matches without a win, a run that raised questions about the cohesion of the squad following a summer in which they lost significant talent. João Pedro went to Chelsea for £60 million. Simon Adingra departed for Sunderland. Pervis Estupinan left for AC Milan. 3 players who were deeply embedded in Brighton's system, whose contributions went beyond statistics and into the DNA of how that team functioned. Replacing that quality, and the personality of those players was always going to take time. And for a while, that adjustment period showed. But back-to-back victories, most recently over Nottingham Forest on Sunday, suggest Brighton have found a rhythm again. And that makes tonight more dangerous, not less. Carlos Baleba, in the centre of their midfield, is a player Arsenal will be very conscious of. He stayed at Brighton this summer despite significant interest, and his ability to win the ball and drive forward with purpose gives Hürzeler's side a physical and dynamic threat in central areas. He will be looking to press Arsenal's build-up play aggressively and deny Zubimendi and Havertz the time they need on the ball. Kaoru Mitoma on the left remains one of the most technically gifted attackers in the Premier League. His close control, his ability to ghost past defenders in tight spaces, and his left foot at pace make him a genuine threat whenever Brighton are moving forward with purpose. Piero Hincapié on Arsenal's right flank will need to be switched on from the first minute because Mitoma does not give defenders comfortable evenings. Jorginho Rutter has settled well at Brighton following his move from Leeds and brings a creative, technically rich attacking profile that complements the directness of their wide players. Charalampos Kostoulas, who arrived from Olympiacos for nearly £30 million in the summer, is still bedding into English football, but has shown flashes of the ability that convinced Brighton to spend that kind of money on him. Defensively, Lewis Dunk provides the experience and the authority in central defence. Jan-Paul van Hecke alongside him has grown considerably into a Premier League quality centre-back. At left-back, Maxim de Kuiper has had a solid debut season since arriving from Club Brugge. The injury picture for Brighton is relatively clean tonight compared to Arsenal. Adam Webster and Stefanos Tsimas are both out for the remainder of the season with serious knee injuries. Those are significant losses, but ones the club has had to manage for some time now. On a more positive note for Herzler, Yassine Ayari has returned to first-team training following his shoulder injury. He was not ready for Sunday's match against Nottingham Forest, but tonight, the expectation is that he will be available for selection. Ayari's midfield energy and pressing ability could be a useful weapon off the bench or potentially from the start. Tactically, this is a fascinating matchup. Brighton under Herzler press intensely and look to win the ball high up the pitch. They play a compact mid-block when not in possession and try to spring forward through quick transitions when they win it back. Against an Arsenal side that is potentially missing both its primary press organiser in Odegaard and its primary defensive midfielder in Rice, that structure becomes even more interesting. Arsenal's best response to high-pressure sides is to move the ball quickly through the lines, using Odegaard's movement between the lines to draw the press and then exploit the space that opens up behind it. Without Odegaard to perform that function, the decision-making burden shifts. Havertz must take on more of that responsibility. Eze, who has been electric since signing from Crystal Palace, must find those spaces himself rather than being fed into them. The thing about Arteta's system is that it is built on collective understanding as much as individual brilliance. When the first choice pieces are in place, it runs with an almost mechanical elegance. The question tonight is whether the team can maintain that collective fluency while rotating pieces under physical and time pressure. I expect Arteta to set up conservatively in the first 30 minutes, absorbing any early Brighton intensity, denying them the transitions they want, and building from there. Saka on the right will be central to everything going forward. His ability to cut inside from the right flank, to combine with whichever midfielder is supporting him, to draw fouls in dangerous areas. He has been unstoppable at times this season, and Brighton will need to decide whether to focus resource on stopping him and risk leaving space elsewhere. Gyokeres will occupy Brighton's centre-backs from the first whistle. He never stops running. He never stops pressing. He is the constant threat that keeps defensive lines deep. And that in itself creates space for Martinelli on the left and Eze or Madueke cutting in from wider positions. Let us talk about the head-to-head record because it tells an important story. Arsenal have won 18 times in the history of these two clubs meeting. Brighton have won 8. There have been 7 draws. Brighton's last victory over Arsenal came in 2023, and the players who scored in that match, Julio Enciso, who has since left for Strasbourg, Pervis Estupiñán, now at AC Milan, and Denis Undav, that team no longer exists in the same form. The Seagulls are a different group now at a different point in their development, and Arsenal are in a very different place to where they were in 2023. Brighton have not beaten Arsenal in their last 6 meetings. That is a psychological reality that will sit in some corner of every Brighton player's mind tonight, even if they would never admit it publicly. Herzler will work hard to remove that narrative from his team's preparation to frame tonight purely as the next match, the next opportunity, and good teams do that. But facts are facts, and the facts favour Arsenal. The title picture going into tonight could not be tighter in terms of pressure. 5 points, that is the gap. It feels comfortable until you consider that Manchester City are a team that simply does not stop. They are a machine of ruthless efficiency, and if Arsenal drop points tonight, City win, suddenly the gap is 2. Suddenly the dynamic shifts. Suddenly the pressure becomes very different. I am not suggesting Arsenal are close to cracking. This squad is better than that. More resilient, more tactically sophisticated, more mentally durable than previous Arsenal sides that ran close and fell short. But the margin for error in a title race is always thin, and the team that manages that margin best, manages the injuries, manages the rotation, manages the psychology, tends to be the team that lifts the trophy in May. Arteta understands all of this. His preparation this week, with just 2 days between Chelsea and Brighton, will have been forensic. The analysis, the tactical shape for this specific opponent, the individual conversations with players who are carrying concerns, that is the part of management that does not appear on camera but defines outcomes. So what is my prediction for tonight? I have thought about this carefully, genuinely. Brighton at home with momentum, a recovered squad, and a point to prove against a title-chasing Arsenal side that may be without its captain and its defensive midfielder. On paper, That is a competitive match. But I keep coming back to the same conclusion. This Arsenal team's strength is not just about individuals. It is about the system Arteta has built, the depth of quality across every position, the collective belief that has been forged through a season of hard-fought results. Gyokeres, Saka, Eze, Martinelli, these are not players who switch off because the names around them change slightly. They impose themselves on matches regardless of context. I am going Arsenal to win tonight. I think Saka will be instrumental. He always seems to produce when the moments demand it. And I think Gyokeres gets on the score sheet. He has been pressing the ball so relentlessly all season and creating his own chances out of pure physical and tactical intelligence. Brighton will defend deep at times tonight and look to catch Arsenal on transitions. But I believe our defensive structure, led by William Saliba, who has been absolutely immense this season, will hold firm. My prediction is Arsenal 2-0, a controlled professional away win that keeps the 5-point gap intact and sends a message to Manchester City. That is what this squad is capable of. That is what they have been building towards, right? That is the full pre-match breakdown. Everything you need to know before tonight's 7:30 kickoff at the American Express Stadium, live on TNT Sports 2 in the UK. If you found this valuable, smash the like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more Arsenal supporters. Subscribe if you have not already and turn those notifications on so you never miss a video. Drop your prediction for tonight in the comments below. I want to know, do you think Rice and Odegaard start? Who steps up if they do not? Let the debate begin. This is Isaac Arsenal Update. I am Isaac. Come on, Arsenal. Let us go get those 3 points.